So this is Konrad here, and today's video we're gonna go through the best resources to learn copywriting. But before we get into that, as usual, actually no, today we don't have Yerba mate because it's later in the evening and I have a rule that I don't drink caffeine in the afternoon or evening because then you can't sleep. So actually, why would you listen to me telling you or sharing with you, best resources about copywriting? Who am I to say that? So just a little bit of background about me. I currently have a cold email agency slash copywriting agency, B2B. On a regular basis, I sell, cold email sequences, landing pages, Facebook ads, copy, different kinds of B2B copywriting. And I got into copywriting more than a year ago. And according to standards, I think I'm a person who learned it pretty fast. I think it's partially due to some natural tendencies and strengths, and also partially because of my of what I did during that year. So in today's video, I'm gonna try to share with you guys like what I did and what you could do to also speed up your learning curve when it comes to copywriting. Because actually this topic came up today when a friend asked me, how can he learn copywriting well? Like, what are the best resources? And this made me think. It wasn't like an obvious answer. But for today's video, I prepared, I think it all basically comes down to three things. So one thing, I would say that the number one thing, obviously, that's the most obvious one, which is books. I would say books are always better than courses because courses are overpriced, overhyped. And I would say there's this famous quote, "There's nothing new under the sun." So I would say that a lot of times what some would say dinosaurs discovered about direct response marketing and copywriting back in the old age of direct mail applies as much to today's copywriting world and marketing world, and actually their insights are a lot of times better because there's less fluff, and now everything is just there's just 99% water and 1% actual substance. So I would say it's books are better than courses or programs, at least as far as I'm concerned. And when it comes to books, it's not as obvious as to which books, because normally people would recommend you just copywriting books. But in my opinion, what you should do is, and what I've always done is you should pick books that are from genres that are related to copywriting, but they don't have to be copywriting specific. So to give you an example, it can be a negotiation book by Chris Voss, who his book is Never Split the Difference. Or it can be a sales book on how to sell, because copywriting is partially in big part salesmanship. So if you learn sales, it's great. The next one could be human psychology. So just some insights 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, or there's a bunch of books on how we think, the emotional response. There's the I forgot, Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. So this one also gives you a lot of insights. Then there are some really great marketing books, like Seth Godin or Rory Sutherland, Alchemy, or who else is there? There is a couple, and then there's the typical, you could say, copywriting books. My favorite copywriter is actually John Carlton. So anything from John Carlton, for example, Entrepreneur's Guide to Getting Your Shit Together. He's got 2 parts of that, but he's got also other books, or any other dinosaur. Who's that? Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert. I mean, there's many of them, but I would say pick a few of these, read them, but don't read them passively. Take notes, take the most important notes, try to reread the most important parts, try to make connections, try to sleep on it. and then eventually you should get to the second point, which is practice. In my opinion, theory is like 20%, 80% is practice, because you will run into so-called writer's block, which is as prevalent in copywriting as it is in normal writing. And you will, just stare at your blank page and you will not know what to write. And you'll be like, you start procrastinating. You'll think you will not have inspiration, but it all comes down to just getting the reps in, getting better. And I would say to that point, in my opinion, it's the best if you can somehow find a way where you can at the beginning practice in such a way that you would get an immediate feedback about your copy. So you write something like I did, for example. My example, I can give my example. I started with almost at the start with cold email. So with cold email, it's kind of obvious, like you write the message and then you send it. Obviously, there are some other factors like technical and just the pure like luck factor and things like that. But it's quite an immediate feedback when you send an email and someone either responds or not. And then they respond positively or negatively. And then is the positive response like, hey, I loved your email. It's the best email ever, which I've gotten in the past. Or is it just, hey, what are you trying to sell me? So there's a bunch of, things you can do when it comes to getting like direct feedback. You can, try running ads. You can try asking your clients to give you, stats, how it performed. But the sooner you can get that, the more you can speed up that process, because I would say that's the place where most people get stuck in that forever loop of like writing, but never knowing how it performs. So they never know how good is that copy and if that type of copywriting actually works. So I would say just find a way to get feedback on how it performs. I don't know, write for your site, write for your LinkedIn in the places where you can use it and you can get feedback from people that, try asking your friends if it's interesting, if they would read. But you just find a way to not just like write for the sake of writing, but actually get feedback so that you can improve. And most importantly, you can learn what good copywriting looks like, and you can develop that like gut feeling, which I now, for example, have. I can look at something and tell if it's going to perform or not, at least to the high degree. There's probably people who have even better gut instinct. It's just a question then of even more experience, even more writing chops and things like that. Which brings me to the last point, and I would say this is a great point if you want to take it to the last level. I would say it's finding a mentor that's on the higher level than you, someone who can give you really honest feedback. Because why on a higher level? Because you're not gonna take feedback from someone below you. On your same level, that's questionable, but it's better if you can somehow, some way find a mentor who's gonna first give you feedback on your copy so you will improve faster. Second, I would say this is huge, very important, and most people miss this aspect when it comes to learning copywriting and then potentially selling that and getting better and climbing that ladder, is that he's gonna tell you what are your strengths and weaknesses and which direction you should go. As I mean, in my opinion, you should never try to, in the end, be the jack of all trades, even in copywriting. You should specialize in something, and everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. For me, for example, it's basically a unique copy, something like writing a bio, writing like a podcast outreach, or writing like a copy for something personal, writing like a very unique voice for a website if someone wants to differentiate themselves, or like their cover letter. This is where I excel at, because I can give that spice to copy. But for example, I'm not the best person to write technical copy or like for softwares or for things of that nature, because it's too boring for me. I don't have enough background to know all the jargon. So someone probably with a background there would learn faster and know things better and have better insights. and also he would just be more interested in that. So I think it would be possible for him to kind of put that passion into the words. So I would say finding a mentor is a big one. I managed to land one just by doing an interview with him. You know, I invited in on my podcast. You can actually see I released the video yesterday of an interview with Nate Wright, and he's kind of just now become my mentor. And this is something you could also do that doesn't really cost anything. Obviously, it's not as easy as just like sending, and everyone's always gonna accept. But if you don't try, you will never get. So you might as well try. And who knows? Maybe if you give some value up front, if you are a good person, if you are willing to work hard and help them out, and you kind of share your story, maybe someone will want to help you, and you will have a mentor, and then you will speed up your learning curve. So I hope this was valuable. I will also put in the description under the video a list of some of my favorite books that I've read, or someone else like Nate Wright, for example, recommended to learn better the B2B sales and B2B copywriting, human psychology. You should also subscribe to my channel, because these videos are gonna come in a greater volume in the next couple of weeks and months. I'm gonna do it practically daily, and I'm gonna focus mostly on copywriting, cold email, marketing, entrepreneurship, freelance, Upwork. So there's a lot of topics that I think are hot now, and I will try to cover them. If you have some suggestions, ideas, feel free to comment. I'm very much welcome comments. And also, you are very much welcome to join our new group, our new Facebook group, Converting Freelancers to Entrepreneurs. There's also a link in the description under the video. So with that, my friend, I leave you today, this beautiful Tuesday, and thanks a lot for your attention, and I will see you next time. Let the Yerba be with you. Salut.